If you won $10 million tomorrow, there is a 90% chance you would be completely bankrupt, emotionally shattered, and socially isolated within 5 years. This is not a guess. It is a documented statistical reality. It happens because your brain is a highly sensitive biological processor that requires a slow, deliberate period of adaptation to survive changes in its environment. When you force your financial life to scale vertically at high speed, your brain experiences a violent, catastrophic phenomenon known as acclimatization failure. The sudden influx of resource power is registered by your primitive survival mechanisms not as security, but as an acute existential shock. Your neurochemistry simply does not possess the structural root system required to hold that much energy. And like an overloaded electrical grid, your entire psychological framework physically self-destructs. We live in a culture that is utterly obsessed with the illusion of the fast track. You are bombarded with stories of overnight algorithmic successes, highly leveraged trading wins, and young prodigies who apparently achieved absolute freedom by the age of 22. The system wants you to believe that the speed of your accumulation is the only metric that matters. They want you desperate, impatient, and constantly chasing the next high-risk, high-reward shortcut. Because as long as you are frantic to escape the traditional economic model overnight, you are the perfect target for high-interest leverage tools, predatory speculative markets, and high-adrenaline trading apps that treat your attention span like oil to be drilled. The get-rich-quick script is not a pathway to freedom. It is a highly calculated psychological harvesting machine designed to turn your impatience into their permanent profit. To understand why this sudden vertical ascent is a guaranteed psychological trap, we must examine the work of clinical psychologists who study the phenomenon of sudden wealth syndrome. Experts at the Money Meaning Swami Amp Choices Institute discovered that when an individual's financial standing scales faster than their internal identity can evolve, they experience a profound state of cognitive paralysis. The brain suffers from a severe disruption of the Weber-Fechner Law of Psychophysics, which states that our perception of a stimulus depends entirely on its starting baseline. Let's look at what your brain is doing here. Under normal conditions, your brain derives satisfaction from small, incremental improvements: a slightly better meal, a slightly more comfortable room, a quiet weekend of rest. But when you spike your financial capacity overnight, your baseline stimulus requirement is instantly shattered. Your dopamine receptors are suddenly flooded with the highest possible level of convenience and luxury. To get the exact same chemical baseline of satisfaction that you used to get from a simple coffee, your brain now requires a 5-figure luxury experience. You have permanently desensitized your reward system, rendering yourself entirely numb to the quiet, natural pleasures of human existence. Take out your pencil. Let's look at the numbers. Imagine a consumer who attempts to force wealth creation by engaging in highly leveraged, high-risk short-term trading or aggressive speculative side hustles. To keep up with this fast-paced, high-stress lifestyle, they pay a massive psychological tax. They spend 16 hours a day checking fluctuating charts, experience chronic cortisol spikes that damage their sleep cycle, and begin utilizing high-cost convenience delivery services and micro-subscriptions just to keep their exhausted mind functioning. Let's write down the real mathematical and biological cost of this fast-lane pursuit. Over a 3-year period, they might occasionally secure a sudden $20,000 windfall. But to achieve that spike, they have sacrificed their physical health, destroyed their capacity for deep focus, and inflated their basic living expenses by 30% to cope with the stress. When you calculate the cost of the chronic medical issues, the emotional burnout, and the high-interest consumer debt used to maintain the illusion of success, you realize that their fast wealth has actually cost them a net loss of 5 years of their peak physical life. They did not build wealth fast. They simply traded their biological lifespan to buy a temporary high-status simulation of success. This neurological disaster is further explained by a concept from behavioral psychology known as the arrival fallacy. Coined by Dr. Tal Ben-Shahar, this theory proves that the human brain operates under a persistent illusion. We believe that once we reach a massive sudden destination, such as a specific net worth or a fast financial windfall, we will achieve permanent, unshakable happiness. In reality, when the sudden wealth arrives and the expected emotional nirvana fails to materialize, the brain experiences a severe, terrifying existential void. You look around at your expensive new possessions, your high-status vehicle, and your luxury residence, and you realize you are still exactly as anxious, lonely, and empty as you were before. But now, you have used up your ultimate hope. You no longer have the dream of getting rich to distract you from your internal issues. The sudden realization that money cannot cure your psychological wounds triggers a deep, manic cycle of self-destruction, driving you to purge the wealth as quickly as possible through reckless adrenaline-fueled consumption just to return your mind to a familiar state of survival. To escape this trap, you must completely reject the system's script of vertical speed and adopt a philosophy of slow horizontal expansion. You must recognize that real, unshakable wealth is not an event. It is a biological acclimatization process. The first step in this defense is the implementation of the satiation margin. You must consciously design your lifestyle to remain several tiers below your actual financial capability. If your income doubles, your physical consumption must remain completely static. By keeping your material baseline low, you protect your dopamine receptors from desensitization. You allow your wealth to grow silently in untouched, quiet accounts, while keeping your mind highly sensitive to simple, cost-free pleasures. You maintain the ultimate luxury of absolute privacy, ensuring that no one in your daily life has any concept of your true financial power. Their fast ascent is a loud, chaotic performance. Your slow growth is an invisible, permanent fortress. The second step is the practice of identity pacing. When you build wealth slowly and incrementally through quiet, disciplined accumulation, your psychological identity has the time it needs to form robust roots. You do not wake up one day with an unfamiliar, terrifying amount of power that your nervous system cannot handle. Instead, you grow into your sovereignty step by step. You learn the discipline of holding capital before you possess enough to destroy yourself. You learn how to say no to minor temptations when the stakes are low, so that when your resources scale, you possess the psychological armor required to handle high-level leverage without ever losing your mind. The final and most critical shield is the shift from status to absolute autonomy. The get-rich-quick culture is driven entirely by the exhausting need for immediate social validation, the desperate desire to show the world that you have escaped the matrix. But the truly sovereign individual understands that public applause is a highly volatile, worthless currency. They do not buy symbols of status, they buy the absolute ownership of their future time. They realize that a slow, quiet, and completely invisible pile of capital is infinitely more powerful than a loud, leveraged fortune that requires constant public maintenance. Let's look at what your brain is doing here as we reach the final verdict. The system wants you running, screaming, and desperately searching for a financial shortcut because they know that an impatient consumer is highly predictable, easily manipulated, and perpetually broke. They want you to believe that speed is wealth. But the real masters of the game understand that slow is smooth and smooth is fast. By choosing to accumulate quietly, patiently, and in absolute privacy, you build a structural root system that no economic storm can ever tear down. This leaves us with a highly uncomfortable clinical question that you must confront. Are you willing to quiet your ego, step off the high adrenaline track of instant gratification, and allow your wealth to build slowly in the dark? Or will you continue to chase the high-speed trap of the system, trading your long-term sanity for a temporary spotlight? Leave your thoughts in the comments below if you are ready to begin the slow, sovereign climb. We will keep writing the counterscript.